Hello, everybody. Okay, so here we are, 7 months after a piece of my brain right here was removed. Still, employment. So this is going to be interesting. So I'm an artist, you know. So like any artist, you do what you can. I sell what I can. I'm not represented in galleries or anything, so it's not a lot. So either way, you need basically employment, right? So that is always a tricky thing. I've always wondered that. What do you have to tell them, right? You look it up. You don't have to tell them anything. Uh, but the one thing I have noticed, um, like when you go online employment centers and stuff, or not centers, but sites, blah 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 blah. One of the questions asks, "Do you have a disease?" And in the list, epilepsy's in there. Now, in person, it doesn't come up as I mean, that has literally never come up in any interview. But I've noticed that with the online employment kind of stuff. Uh, yeah. So that was it. That's interesting. Anyway, sidestep. So at the current moment, I'm just a regular, security, uh, random hours, but the convention center is pretty busy. But also, now this has just happened, right? Uh, I got a job as an online poker dealer. So Philadelphia has apparently like the world's base, Swedish company or something. But either way, so yesterday during training, dealing the cards, had to pay attention to screens. There's nobody in front of you. Uh, yeah, whatever, you're basically just dealing hundreds of cards, thousands of cards. At one point, oh shit, I felt something, right? Stood up, had to go to the bathroom. Now I have my, Narcan, not Narcan, but the recovery drug spray on me. But I'm sitting, I'm only in training. This is only my fourth day of training. And, luckily I didn't have one, but I'm in the bathroom just sitting there with the thing. All right. Now, again, mine are usually really strong. So when I feel the deja vu, I go into it before the surgery, you know? So my surgery was 7 months ago. Now, my general seizure schedule was only 2 to 3 a year. So it only happens every like 5 or 7 months. So we don't know if this works, right? 2 weeks ago, I had one of the strongest, the deja vus that happened yesterday. I had a really strong one 2 weeks ago. Then 3 days later, a milder one. 4 days later, a little milder one. So right now is this is when they don't even know. When they gave you the surgery, they say, it takes about 6 or 7 months to know if it works, which just happens to be what my seizure schedule was anyway. So we're in a really gray area. And just the fact that almost happened at a new job, brings up a lot of interesting things about employment for any of us, right? What do we do? What jobs can we handle, right? Obviously, depends on your case. If you only have 2 or 3 a year, like myself, employment is easier to find or easier to maintain. But either way, it's a wild question. So, uh, yeah, so my regular job, my security job, right? Nothing's happened. But what does it mean? Again, once you have a job, say you have a seizure, and they're like, dude, what the hell? You didn't tell us that. You're fired. Legally, they can't do that, right? So it's wild to think. Yeah, we experience it. This is just newish for me too, because I never really had to have a full-time job for various reasons up until very, very recently. Now I'm forced into it because I live alone now. I did not live alone for the last 5 years. So that's another wild level. So there's a lot of levels right now. This is why I'm going live. Even though I would have the timing is hilarious because I was going to do an update soon because my doctor appointment is next week. So my doctor appointment from the surgery is 6 months later, which sounds like a lot, but apparently that's normal because nothing really works. They don't know what the surgery works until around then. So that's where we're at. Yesterday just brought up the wildest question. So say I got the job. It looks like this. I'm just on a screen dealing blackjack. Hey, mm, can't really say much. The rules are insane. There is so much stuff. Uh, like, yeah, way too many rules. It doesn't sound fun, but it does help me because you don't see the people, right? So I don't have to like judge them and shit. Like, man, you really shouldn't be betting, right? Look at you, kind of thing. So that would have helped. But random as can be, stealing this, say this. What if I had a seizure? Now you're in a room, so there would have been another, table there. Not a table directly behind me, but basically tables. So I can't work there, right? For another reason, just because I don't have two forms of ID I only have one, and yeah, so whatever. Now that is interesting. So I want to go basically back today. I do have to go back today anyway, right? So now that I don't work there, I want to ask them what would have happened if I had a seizure. I'm dealing blackjack to people. I have 5 people. Say it's an intense game. There's like $20,000 on the table that people betted, and I have a seizure and go off screen. Now, of course, they don't care. They probably would have just kicked me along, and the next person, some dealer would have came in and been like, "Holy shit, sorry about that. Here is the next hand," and whatever. But these are the real weird questions, man, that epileptics have to live with. Employment. So yeah, I've only personally, well, that's not true. Support groups have met some, but half of them did not have a job. Um, and not because they couldn't, like, well, one was just a retired army dude. You couldn't, actually, that's a good question. The three I'm thinking of, which is old and would have been retired anyway, but I think they actually were retired from jobs. And then, others just can't work because of their condition. Uh, yeah, so I have to find a job. So back to me, my current security job. Obviously, they don't know about this, right? But that you're left alone most of the time, right? So I just basically do this, sit at a door from 3 to 11 p.m. So if I start to have one, I can take my recovery thing and not have a seizure in front of anybody and just continue with the job. uh, Now I know that that's a random wild loophole that I'm lucky enough to explore. But for those of us that aren't that lucky, yeah, I just would love to know how we get away with working. Uh, Again, being, oh yeah, so back to the other one. So the person I physically met, other than the support group, is this guitar player, uh, and wow, he had a lot, way more than me ever. And then I mean, you see the interview, and then he had one of the, mine was just this little cut here. He had one of those big metal things put in his head, where they cut your skull open. Had to shave his head. Oh man, he's so sad. He was so upset. Uh, and then put a thing that's like as big as a credit card on your brain, and then replace Gull again. Yeah, so that was wild. Uh, to interview him, I never heard of that before. So to speak in a room with someone that's explaining that, you're like, whoa, all right. Uh, but he had hundreds of seizures a year, so that was so things like that. Now it's way much better, much better, much better. Um, so now I don't know if I don't want to speak about him too much for him, but now I don't know if he's that's a perfect thing, because again, full-time jobs. I don't understand full-time jobs in epileptics if you have a lot of seizures. It just doesn't. I don't get it. But I don't know about his. Or he was lucky enough where since he's got his seizures under control, he just gives guitar lessons and he can set his own schedule, all that good stuff. Like I would love to be able to do. You know. Uh, so yeah, straying from the point too much. So yeah, so here it is, the day after. I almost had a seizure, dealing poker, only in training. So I have to go back today to quit. I'm not really to do that, but I left my passport there, so whatever. Uh, yeah, but I want to ask them. This is a beautiful opportunity because HR clearly has never. Well, I should say never, but I doubt they had this experience before. So from there, it's a huge learning. It's a huge learning lesson for the HR department, and I will learn what would have happened. So yeah, epileptics at the workplace, wild concept. Just picturing, you can picture anybody having a seizure at any job, and how wild that would be for you as a customer, right? So thanks for listening again. Wish me luck, and I'll do a follow up to this. I'm gonna go talk to. I know exactly who I'm talking to. It's HR department. This guy wears this wild ass. It's like a bow tie, and there's like a really loud print of like you want to say like cartoon gummy bears because they're very like happy, smiling, goofy faces, like in real thick black outlines, really bright colors. And that's one of the HR guys. So now that I don't work there, I think I'm gonna approach him and say, "So, what would have happened if I had this? Maybe I'll get him on camera for you." He seems like he likes to be on camera. So yeah, thanks for listening again. Take care. Stay strong. Wow.